you know what we always say the hardest thing about being a marketer is everybody thinks they're a marketer. So it's actually got a very sophisticated thought process to it where you think you go, okay, marketing has a number of different purposes. One would be just get a new person in the door. The other would be, how do you sell something for more because it's more valuable, right? How do you make a deal sell faster because people have heard about you? You have to do less validation. So all of these things, when you're talking about like, stuff, you have to actually think about the world in a much more sophisticated fashion. You can't be like, I have a ROAS for $1. Well, what if it's terrible at that, but it doubles every deal size?
Yeah. So if you don't think about just marketing as a digital advertising event where you put in $1, get out two, in theory, you can have disparate impacts over a longer time horizon. And that's probably why it's difficult to sort out what's actually driving impacts. And this brings us to Alembic, your company.
Yeah.
And I think you're kind of on the edge of science fiction because I was reading about spiking neural networks, which was a new term to me. You guys use those. And you talk about causal AI as a way to infer connections between cause and effect in the marketing context. So tell me how this all works.
Okay. So we started the company quite a while ago, right? I think we did our incorporation papers, like just playing around in like late 2018, but we really got started in 2019.
Okay.
And when we first started the company, we thought that what we wanted to do is we wanted to build Datadog, right? Like, which is a signal processing company for unstructured data, right? We're like, okay, we want to be able to understand all things coming in marketing, whether it's brand, whether it's this, whether it's anything, right? In that space, be able to look at and actually see what had happened because that was the biggest problem at the time. And then as we started doing that, and we brought in these enormous data sets from some of the largest companies in the world, we, had a really intense technical staff. And the reason we thought that this was such an interesting problem is you are basically dealing with one of the most complicated data sets in the world. It crosses every medium. Think about what we just talked about, an F1 race to TV, to a digital ad, to foot traffic, literally every medium and every modality. And you have to understand a huge amount of the world. So we started doing it that way. And then what we discovered was there's really two fronts to kind of the tech that we talk about a lot. One is just how do you even see the thing, right? The signal process.
Sure.
And the other is the causal connection. And they're different. Anybody who's worked in business for any amount of time has had this moment happen where they're talking to somebody on the technical side. And they go, I would like to predict something, or I would like to know about something. And someone goes, well, we don't have enough data for that. One of the hardest things in marketing is we did a famous case study with Delta Airlines for the Olympics. The Olympics happen for 2 weeks every 2 years. If you have daily data, which is actually pretty aggressive for a marketer, daily data, you would have 14 steps of time, 14 days.
Right.
So how do you tell whether something's different or something changed when you have zero historical data?
And Delta is the Olympic sponsor, right, of the US team, which I recall from watching the Olympics. Shout out Delta's marketing team.
Yeah, the most interesting thing that occurred with Delta in the Olympics is they did this huge sponsorship, and it did well for them, right? It was fine. But the thing that actually was the most effective advertising for them, the thing that actually moved people the most to both consider, purchase, etc., was actually not the 30-second commercial, the 60-second commercial. At the time, Delta had worked with NBC, and one of the things what happens when you buy an enormous amount of media, right? In some cases, you could be 8, 9 figures, right? Yeah. When you buy a lot of media, they start giving you in-programming stuff. So if you watch the Olympics, you saw that Delta had the medal presentation ceremony. So every single time an American athlete won a gold medal or a medal, it would be, the medal presentation sponsored by Delta. Well, imagine you see a super emotional moment on TV, you see the Eiffel Tower in the background, one would assume you sell a lot of tickets to Paris, right?
Yeah.
So the most effective ad was actually not the 30 or 60-second spot. It was that emotional moment that was actually in the program. It wouldn't even be considered a traditional ad.
Your startup needs custom software, but building your own secure, production-ready apps is hard, right? And not every founder has the expertise or time to get started. Well, now you don't have to. Just use Zite, Z-I-T-E. Make whatever you need from idea to a working app in just minutes, easily, all on your own. Plus, you can fill it in with forms, apps, databases, and other automations that you need as part of your product. So many of the no-code and vibe coding tools are just flashy demos, or they work on legacy systems that take so much time and effort to learn, let alone master. But Zite is both easy to use and powerful enough to build out the apps you want. And it quickly connects all the other tools you're already using. For example, earlier this month, they added the ability to bulk create and update records, so it's easier and faster than ever to design data-heavy apps that are constantly syncing between systems. That's the kind of attention to detail that sets Zite apart. Start using the #1 AI-powered business software generator on the market. And we're going to give you 50% off your first project. Go to Zite.com/twist to get started. That's Zite.com/twist for 50% off your first project.